Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for watching, thank you for your sponsorship, and thank you for the interest in the subjects that we're discussing. I was asked today to talk a little bit about some of the books that I consider to be particularly useful for modelers, and it's always hard to state, oh, this or that book is the most useful, because many books contain certain elements that are useful, that are truthful, that are good information, that is rare. But I can't say that there is one book that is an overarching and absolute must-have, or that it contains all the information in the world. However, for those among the modelers who like to put sails on their ships, I believe that Seamanship by the late Mr. Harland is an absolute must-read book. Time and again, I have seen absolutely impossible combinations of sails on models. And I can understand the philosophy of spreading all the sheets that you can, all the rags, put them up, just to show that you have gone through the trouble of sewing every single one of the sails. But they, on a real ship, would never be flown together at the same time. So if you want to actually build a realistic display, a model that is saying something, well, this is what the ship is doing, it is cruising, then you really need to have a look at Harland's work. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, but he was a true gentleman and a very good scholar, despite not being actually a professional. But pretty much all the books that he has produced are of excellent, are an excellent resource, particularly so Seamanship. For a detailed page through the Seamanship, check the video on the sister channel. So I will not do this now, but I will discuss some of the topics. There are other books, there are contemporary books that he quotes, of course, and on which his Seamanship in the Age of Sail is based. There are quite a few. Some of them are harder than others to find, but by now so many have been printed that material from the 19th century, of course, is fairly easily available. It is the earlier centuries where this book really shines and is a great aid. The truth of the matter is, seamanship really changed over the ages. How ships were handled varied with time. It varied with the accumulated experience of ocean sailing. It varied with the changes in the rigs themselves. So a 17th century ship with a spritsail, topsail, mast is going to be handled in a completely different way than, let's say, Edward Pellew would have handled the Indefatigable in 1797. Other things changed also, from the way you set up the sails, from the way you hold them down to how you handle storms. Until the 1750s, really, storms were dealt with under courses, under the lowermost sails. It is only after 1750 that ships begin to strip down to storm canvas only under topsails. And that is something that is important to remember, because, well, actually, this video really, besides ship modelers, should be addressed at all the scribes that are attempting to write nautical fiction. And so many of these writers have absolutely no idea what they're talking about, even those who have square rig experience, because they're used to late 18th century rigs, while they attempt to write about 17th century or early 18th century seamanship. And, well, I think that I have said already enough what I think about them. But that is why this book can be extremely, extremely useful to ship modelers, and God help them, nautical scribes attempting to write fiction in this field too. Below, under the description, you're going to find a link that leads to the book. Other books besides and other sources on seamanship besides Harland that I particularly enjoy, of course, is reading original logs. The National Archives in Great Britain, the Royal Maritime Museum, as it is nowadays, the British Library, quite a few depositories exist that contain original logbooks. The overwhelming majority of them are through naval, but there are quite a few actually from the merchant service. And then there are, of course, some published already logs from the East India Company, the Dutch East India Company, also from the 17th century. Recently a book was published. They also give you quite a lot of information on how ships were actually handled in different conditions at sea. But I do recognize that the overwhelming majority of the viewers either will not have access to them or would not be interested in spending all their time roaming through the archives. Though in parentheses, I should tell you that this is a thoroughly enjoyable experience that I recommend to any nutter out there who is as crazy as I am. With this, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you the very best of days and see you next time.